Hello everyone, I hope you're having a super day today. This video will be covering Module 3, Performing Calculations with Formulas and Functions. Yes, this is going to be a little bit more difficult than Chapters 1 and 2, Modules 1 and 2, because this is dealing with formulas and functions. The first two chapters was mostly information as a review from what you took in CIT 110 on how to format and how to enter data into Excel. That was covered during the 4 weeks that you took Excel in the CIT 110 class. So those weren't that difficult, but this one gets to be a little bit more difficult and may demand a little bit more of your time. So sit back, and I'm on page 181 in your textbook, EX 181. I'm doing the review exercise at the back of Module 3. The data file that you will be needing for today is called Soybean. Soybean. It can be found in the student files within Blackboard within our course. Go to Chapter 3 and you'll find Soybean there. If you need to, please pause this video, go get that file ready so that you can follow along, and then restart the video upon getting that file ready. I have it ready already. I've got it saved to my desktop. So I'm going to go on with the exercise. I'm going to read the opening paragraph on what we're intending to do today. It says, another cash crop grown in Wingate Farm is soybeans. Jane wants you to create a workbook for the soybean crop similar to the workbook you created for the corn crop. The workbook should estimate the total yield and revenue from a small plot sample and compare that yield to the farm's historic norms. The workbook should also track the soybean growth from planting to harvest. Complete the following. Step 1 then says to open up the soybean workbook. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off my desktop. Double click on it to open it up. Okay. Now, it does specifically say in step 1 to save this as a different name, and I would like you to please make sure you do that because I'm looking for the file called soybean crop. So we're going to have to do a file, save as, browse, specify a location that we would like for it to be saved at. I'm going to pick the desktop. That's easy for me to find it when I need it. And then it should be called soybean space crop. Now I've already done this, so I'm going to get a do you want to replace it, which is fine. So when I click save after giving it a new name and specifying where I want to save it, I'm going to click save. Yes, I do want to replace it. And up at the top it tells me soybean crop.xlsx. I've now done step 1 correctly, so I've completed step 1. Step 2, in the documentation worksheet, enter your name in cell B3 and the date in B4. So I'm currently on the documentation worksheet. I'm going to go on into cell B3 and I'm going to type my name. Of course, you would type your name. Now, I do want to emphasize that this is not something that you have to do. This is totally for review purposes only. You will not be submitting this. So you choose to do what you want to do along the way, but I do want this to be helpful for you. And then the date in cell B4 for me today, it is June 5th, 2019. Okay. Step 3. The size of the soybean crop is 72 acres. Enter this value in cell B4 of the yield worksheet. So now I have to go to the yield worksheet, which is my second tab down here, yield, and I'll repeat this. The size of the soybean crop is 72 acres. Enter this value in cell B4. So I click on B4 and type 72. It's simple data entry at that point. Okay? Step 4. The soybean sample comes from a plot of 4 rows each, 7.5 inches wide and 21 inches long. enter these values in the range B7 to B9. So I click in B7 and I'm going to type 4. In B8, I'm going to type 7.5. And I'm going to type 21 in cell B9. Again, nothing but data entry. No formulas, no functions at this point in time. Step 5. Within the plot, the farm has harvested 400 soybean pods with an average of 2.5 soybeans per pod. Enter these values in B14 and B15. So in B14, I'm going to type 400. And in B15, I'm going to type in 2.5. Okay, step 5's done. Again, nothing but data entry up to this point. Step 6, apply the input cell style to cells B4, B7 through B9, and B14 through B15. So first I'll go to B4. Cell styles are found on the home ribbon. Drop the arrow down and find the input cell style, which is right there. Click. I'm going to select B7 to B9 by getting my white plus sign in B7, holding on the left side of my mouse and dragging down to select all 3 cells at the same time. Go back up to cell styles and back to input. And then one last range, B14 to 15. I select both cells. I go to cell styles and I click on input. Okay, that's what they wanted me to do for step 6. It looks like that anything that's in that color, I should realize it has been just data entry. Step 7, we're finally going to get into some calculations. Using the equations described in the formulas worksheet, enter the following calculations. In the formulas worksheet is over here. If you need to use that, it will give you the formulas. But I think we can figure this out. 7A, in cell B10, calculate the area of the plot sample in inches. So this is going to be, I'm going to multiply B7 times B8 times B9. All formulas and functions begin with the equal sign. So I type equals first. Then I either type B7 or I click on it and it will put it into my formula for me. I am a clicker, so I like to do that instead of typing it in because I'm bound to have data entry errors if I try to type everything. So I click on the cell and let Excel put it in for me. Then I multiply, that's an asterisk. So for me it's Shift 8, or you can use the asterisk on your number keypad. B7 times B8, you can either click on it or type it, times B9. Again, you can type it or click on it. I'm going to hit enter, and I get 630. All right, so that's 7A. 7B. In B11, convert the sample area to acres by dividing the value in cell B10. I'm going to just do that first. Equals to tell Excel I'm doing a calculation. That's a must. You must do that. B10 divided by. The divide by sign is the upper left to the lower right. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Lower upper, let me get it right. B10 divided by, and the divide by symbol is the upper right to the lower left. It's under the question mark for me, but it's also on my number keypad as well. So we're dividing B10 by the number of square inches in an acre, which is cell H4. So again, we either click on it or type it. And from now on, I'm going to just say click on it because that's the way I do it. But if you can always type it if you'd rather. So, and now I get 0.00100436. Okay. But the rest of the step B says to display the result to 4 decimal points. So I'm going to click on cell B11, and up here we have 2 buttons. One that says increase the number of decimal places, and the next one that over says decrease. Well, I want to decrease it down to 4 decimal places. So I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm to the 4 decimal points, 0.0001. Okay. Step 7C. In cell B16, it says, calculate the total number of seeds harvested in the sample. So for this one, I'm going to take B14 times B15. So equals, we're going to be doing that a lot today, equals to tell Excel we're doing a formula or function. B14, I click on it, times B15, I click on it, and hit enter. And I get 1,000. B14 times B15. Okay? In B17, I'm on step number 7D. In cell B17, calculate the weight of the sample in pounds by dividing the number of seeds by the number of seeds in 1 pound, which is H5. All right, so this one I have to do equals to tell Excel I'm doing a formula by dividing the number of seeds, okay, so that's B16, we just calculated earlier, divided by dividing by H5. So I go up to H5 and click on it, hit enter, and in this one, I have B16 divided by H5. Again, the rest of the instructions say to display this to just 2 decimal places. So again, I have to be on cell B17. I hit the decrease a number of times until I just get 0.33. 7E, moving down, 7E, keep moving down. In B18, convert the weight to bushels by dividing the weight in pounds by the number of pounds in 1 bushel, cell H6. All right, let's do that. Equals, of course, we got to start with, and then it's B17 divided by H6. Hit enter, and you should get 0.00555556. Again, the instructions say to reduce this to 4 decimal places. So back up here I go to decrease my decimals until I see 0.0056. And to finish up step 7, 7F. In cell B19, it says estimate the farm's soybean yield in bushels per acre by dividing the number of bushels in the plot sample, so that's going to be B18, by the area of the sample in acres, which is going to be B11. So let's do that. Equals, I'm going to take B18, okay, bushels per acre by dividing the number of bushels, that was B18, divided by the number of bushels in the plot sample, which is B11, area in acres, by the area of the sample in acres. Okay, so it's B18 divided by B11. Display this as an integer. When it says integer, that means there's no decimal places. So I'm going to keep reducing this until I see no decimal places, and it should be just 55. So step 7 is done. A lot of calculations there. Sometimes it's hard to understand exactly what they want, so just read very carefully at your labels that are placed, and I hope that the video is helping you here. Again, you can rewind, fast forward as you need. Moving on to step number 8. Calculate the following values for soybean yield and revenue. In cell B20, calculate the farm's average soybean yield using the values in column E. Use the round function to round that average value to the nearest integer. Round function. So what that's going to require me to do is I'm going to click on this little FX key. There is a number of different ways to go out and find the functions. If you have learned a different way and you feel more comfortable doing that, that's fine. But I like to use this FX only because it has been very consistent throughout all the versions of Excel. It's been in the same location and does the same thing. So I'm kind of old school. I like to follow what I've learned. So I'm going to click FX. Here's going to be all the functions that are offered within Excel. I'm going to click on the All category. So where it says or select a category, I'm dropping the arrow down and picking All. And I'm going to scroll down, and they're in alphabetical order, but I'm looking for round. So keep on going. Lots of P's. R, oh, there we go. I saw it. Round. Now I don't want round down, and I want round up. It's simply round. And I'm going to click OK. For the number, the instructions say that they want the average soybean yield using the values in column E. So we're going to simply do average, and spell it right, average, open parenthesis. I'm going to select the column E. I'm going to literally click on the letter E. I get a little black arrow. I'm going to select the entire column, even though we don't use the entire column. This is perfectly acceptable. I'm going to close my parenthesis. It already gives me the answer over here of what the average is. But they also specified that they want me to bring the nearest integer. If I click here and I'm not exactly sure what to put in here, you can come down here and read. Number of digits is the number of digits to which you want to round. Negative rounds to the left of the decimal point. 0, 0 to the nearest integer. So I simply put a 0 in there to retrieve just the integer of 49, and it displays that right there. I click OK, and there we go. We've done 8A using the round function. Okay? Step 8B. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit. 8B. Calculate the farm's median soybean yield from the values in column E. So we're going to go to our next function for today, and that's the median function. So I'm going to go back to FX. I'm going to scroll down until I find median. Okay. There it is right there, the word median. Delete whatever number they have in there. Don't trust what's in there. For me, it's B14 colon B20. Just delete what's in there. Don't trust it. And we want the median for column E. So again, we can select E, and we don't need to fill anything in. That's the only range we want. If I wanted additional ranges, I could go to number 2, and then it would give me an option for number 3. But this is the only thing they want me to find the median for is column E. So at this point, I can click OK, and there's my median value. Okay? That is step 8B. 8C. In cell B24, so I'm going to go to B24, calculate the farm's total production of soybeans in bushels by multiplying the bushels per acre value. So that's going to be B19, I believe, estimated bushels per acre, by the total number of acres that the farm devotes to soybeans. And that, I believe, is B4. If I'm not mistaken. Let me scroll up. B4 total soybean acres. Yes. So we're going to take B19 times B4. So equals B19. I'm going to click on B19 times, scroll up until you see B4, or just type it in, whatever you prefer to do, and hit enter. And I get 3982. But the rest of the instructions for 8C say to display this as an integer. So I'm going to reduce the number. You have to click on cell B24. Make sure you're on that cell. I'm going to decrease my number of decimal places so there isn't any, and it should be just 3983. Step 8D, total revenue. In cell B25, calculate the total revenue from the soybean crop by multiplying the total bushels harvested, which is going to be what I just calculated, by the current price in cell H7. So equals B24 times H7. Hit enter. Okay. This says, the last part of step 8D says, display the value using the accounting format style. That's the $sign up here. So make sure you're on cell B25, and if necessary, click the $sign, and we've got it as accounting format. There was a $sign here, but it was next to the first number, which means it was currency style at that point. The $sign over to the left indicates that that is accounting style. Okay, so accounting is left justified for the $sign. Currency is right next to the number. Okay. Step 9. We're making our way down the page here. Step 9. Apply the calculation style to the range B10 to B11. So I'm going to highlight B10 to B11. I'm going to go to Cell Styles, and I'm looking for Calculation, which is found right there, Calculation Style. I click. Do the same thing to the range B16 to B21. So I highlight all of those. Cell Styles, Calculation. And then finally, we're also going to do it for the range B24 to B25. Cell Styles, Calculation. Okay, we're off to a good start here. Step number 10, use Goal Seek. Goal Seek is a function within Excel that allows a feature, I shouldn't say a function, a feature within Excel that allows me to have Excel tell me what the answer should be. Okay, so they will actually do the calculation for me. You can't beat that. Using Goal Seek, so I'm going to go up to Goal Seek before I even read further. Goal Seek is found on the Data ribbon, and it's a what-if analysis. Data ribbon, what-if analysis. I drop the arrow down, and there's Goal Seek. So Data ribbon, what-if analysis, Goal Seek. It says, use Goal Seek to determine what value in cell B4, the number of acres devoted to soybeans, will result in a total soybean revenue of $40,000. So I'm going to delete what's in my set cell for right now. The to value is what I want to have, and my goal is to have B25, all right? What's going on here? I'm going to click on B25. I don't know if I had to do that. So what I did was I got out of Goal Seek. I hit Escape. I will go into Data, What If Analysis, Goal Seek. And I want my to value to be cell B25. I have no idea why this is not letting me do that. So I'm just going to type B25. By changing, oh, I'm sorry. I got it reverse. See? This is why it's good. And, you know, when I first started recording this, I wanted to be perfect. And if I had made a mistake like this, I probably would have stopped it and re-recorded. But I want to show you how the real world works. I even make mistakes. I'm not reading, and that's my fault. It says to value. Well, the instructions are telling me to a value of 40,000. That's why it didn't like me, because I want to type in 40,000, the value. By changing cell, now I click on B25. See, I had things reversed. So I want B25 to equal 40,000, and I want Excel to tell me, what does cell B4 have to be in order for that to happen? Right now it's 35,325. If I scroll up, right now B4 is 72 acres. I want it to calculate and tell me how many acres I need to do to get 40,000 based on all the other calculations. So I click OK. Cell must contain a formula. Use GoalSeek to determine what the value in cell B4 devoted to will result in a total revenue. What am I doing wrong now? By changing cell B... Oh, gosh darn it. I got it reversed again. Can you believe this? The set cell is what I want to set the result to. The result is B25. All right, B25 is what I want to set it to 40,000. So I want B25 to equal 40,000 by changing B4. Set my total revenue to 40,000. Tell me what I have to change B4 to get that. I am so sorry on this one. GoalSeek, this is what's nice about it, is you can wipe out the first 2 minutes that I was on this and just go with the last 2 minutes. B25 to 40,000 is what I want to set to. My revenue, which is B25 to 40,000. You tell me what B4 needs to be in order for that to be successful. I click OK. Hey, it worked. I get 81 now bushel or acres is what I need to get that total revenue. If I scroll down, you can see that the revenue is indeed 40,000 now. So it calculated it for me and told me how many acres I needed. Wow, that took a lot longer than it needed to. All right, but we got the answer. That's step number 10. Step number 11, in the growth worksheet. So let's go to growth. In the growth worksheet, in cell B5, enter a formula with a function to display the current date. Okay, the current date. Now, there's really kind of two functions that kind of come close to doing this. There's one called today, and there's one called now. I believe they want the today one for this one. So you type equals, and I can just type today, the function today, and it's open, close parenthesis. That will give you today's date. If I hit enter, 6/5/2019. Pretty good. It's a neat function. Equals today, and it will change each day as you use that function. Equals today, open, close parentheses. So nothing inside the parentheses at all. That was step number 11. Step 12. Use autofill to insert the text strings day 1 through day 112 in the range D5 to D16. So in D5, I'm going to type in day 1. And I always like to type 2 of them so that Excel knows what I'm trying to do here. Day 2 then is what I type in D6. I highlight both cells, and I'm going to use the fill handle here. In the bottom, so both cells are selected. I go to the fill handle in the bottom right-hand corner. My white plus sign becomes a black plus sign when I'm on top of the fill handle. I'm going to hold down the left side of my mouse, and I'm going to drag down to D116. And the little white box in the bottom right-hand corner is telling me what it's going to put in those cells as it goes down. All the way down to D116. I'm going to let go, and it numbers all of my days for me. That beats having to type each and every one all the way down. Okay, so the fill handle is also what we call the fill series. Helps me do that. All right, that's step 12. Step 13. In G5, let's click there. Okay, now we're going to get into a little bit of a complicated function here. Formula, I should say. In G5, calculate the growing degree. Let's see, let me read that again. Growing degree days, GDD, for the first day of the season using the formula described in the formulas worksheet and the temperature range values in the range L6 to M9. Hint, use the same formula used in the tutorial for corn, but enter the Tmin, Tmax, and base values directly in the formula. be sure to use absolute references for the temperature range values. Wow, wasn't that Greek? All right, so here's what they want me to do. I'm going to take the max of a range plus the min of a range, divide it by 2. So here's how I'm going to do this. Just kind of follow me. If you need to, you can go to the formulas ribbon, and it's down here where it talks about GDD. Divided by 2 minus the base. We're taking the T-min. T-min is the minimum daily temperature plus the T-max, okay? I'm sure that helped you a lot seeing that, but you can go back and reference that if you needed to. So we're going to do equals. We always do equals. And I'm going to take the max. The max. Max is the abbreviation for maximum. It will find the highest number. And I want to do that for the range E5 to $M $8. Why in the world am I putting dollar signs in there? Well, E5 is my daily low, okay? And that I do want to go to E6 and then to E7. So I do want that to increase in rows as I copy this formula down. But the range, or the cell M8, let's go over and take a look at M8, which is this min temperature. When I copy it down, I don't want this to go to M9, M10, M11, because every time you copy a formula down one row, it increments the rows in your formula by 1. So 5 will become 6, and then 7, and then 8, and then 9 as I copy it down. We can't afford that to happen. We always want it to be 8, M8. It has to be what we call absolutely the same for each and every formula as I copy it down. In Excel, to make something absolute, you put dollar signs in front of what you don't want to have change when you bring it down. And I do not want M8 to change. So I'm going to close my parenthesis. This is very important, putting these dollar signs in there. Okay? Now, just to let you know, there is something. Let me go ahead and delete those just for a second for you. If I click somewhere between the M and the 8, and I have that little line blinking at me known as the insertion point, if I hit F4 on my keyboard, the function key F4, that will put the dollar signs in there as well. Now, if it doesn't put them in the exact location you want them, you can hit F4 again and again and again, and there's 4 different options you have with F4. But the first one is the one I wanted. I wanted it in front of the M, and I wanted it in front of the 8. Okay? Now, from that, I want to add the min. So I do plus min now for my minimum divided by, I got that on my mind from the previous steps. Parenthesis, we always do a parenthesis after the name of the function. Here I'm going to do F5, comma, and this time I'm going to do the M9. Okay. I'm going to close my parenthesis. Now, I want this entire thing, starting from the M and max to this, I want to divide all of that by 2. So I've got to add parentheses around all the work that I've just done. And I have to make M9, just like I did M8, absolute. So I'm going to click between the M and the 9, and I'm going to use F4. So it looks pretty complicated. We're taking the max of E5 M8 plus the min of F5 M9. Okay? The min, I know it looks confusing because we're doing max temp and min temp. What we're doing is we're looking for which one is the minimum of the 2. Obviously 69 would be getting used for this. Okay? F5 is lower than M9. All right, we're going to divide this by 2 per the instructions on the formulas worksheet. And then we're going to subtract from that M7, the base temp. And we want that one to be absolute as well. So I'll leave it up for a second here. It's parenthesis max parenthesis E5 colon M8. That means it's going to look at those two cells and determine which one is the max, and then use that one, plus the min, which is F5 colon M9. All of that, those two things combined, whatever the result of that is, we want to divide by 2, so we needed another set of parentheses, minus M7. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Again, I'm going by this right here, the GDD, which is on the formulas ribbon. Okay? Told you it was going to get a little bit more complicated. All right, so that was step 13. And it says here, okay, that's about it. Okay. Step 14. And again, I hope you understand the absolute referencing. It's going to become very, very important in this chapter to understand absolute referencing, and I'm not sure how else to go about it other than make sure you read the book very, very carefully in regards to that. Hopefully this video will help you a little bit. But again, you put a $ in front of something that you do not want to change. What I might do for you real quickly is show you what would happen. Okay, I'm going to copy this down one cell. When you copy it down, you're telling Excel to increase things by 1 unless you have a $ in front of it. So what was E5 now becomes E6, and if I continually copy it down, it'd be E7, E8. This one, M8, did not change. It remained absolutely the same. And it would be M8 here, M8 here, M8 here. One more idea. F5 will, of course, there's no $, will become F6, F7, F8, and that's okay. However, the M9 will not go to M10. It will go to M9, M9 because of the $. Same thing with the M7. It will remain M7. It will remain absolutely the same. Okay, so step 14 says copy the formula in cell G5 down to G12. So I'm going to use my fill handle in the bottom right hand corner. I'm on cell G5. Use the fill handle in the bottom right hand corner. Drag all the way down. Okay. It says only to G112. I'm not sure why that is. I think that might be a typo. Let's go all the way down to G116. Okay, good. All right, let's turn the page. Looks like we got a couple more things to do. Step 15. Use the quick analysis tool to calculate the cumulative total of the GDD values from the range G5 to G112, placing those values in the range H5 to H112. Well, I think they're saying day 112, and I think they mean 116. So what they're referring to is, with all of these highlighted, when you highlight G5 all the way down to G116, you get this little box that pops up right here in the bottom right corner, if you will. And when you put your pointer on it, it says Quick Analysis. That's what I want to use. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to Totals. There's 5 options up here. I'm going to go to Totals. And what it wants is it doesn't come right out and say this, but it wants, yes it does, cumulative total. Now, all the ones in the blue are for rows. The one in gold here are for columns. So I'm going to click this arrow over to see my other options. And there I've got what is called running total. I'm going to click on that. And in column H, what it does is it starts with the first one, 9.5. Then it adds that to 11.5. It gives me the total. Then it takes 21 times 8, or not times, but plus 8 gives me 29. 29 plus 16.5. So it's adding each and every row up to give me a total at the very bottom of 2225.5. Quick analysis, it's that little box down in that bottom corner when you select a range. Let me do that again, just real quickly show you where it looks. And that's known as the quick analysis tool right there. Okay, so that was step number 15. 16, in cell B9. So I'm going to go to B9. B9, right there, planting date. Enter 5/12/2017, which is the date the farm will start planting the soybean crop. In cell J5, enter a formula to display the date from cell B9. So that's equals B9, hit enter. That's simply all we have to do to reference that cell. You did that in one of the case problems where you had to reference a cell from to add the totals together. Okay. And some of you were actually putting the word average and sum and all of that. You don't even need that. If you're referencing a cell, you simply need the equals and click on the cell. Okay? So let me continue reading. In cell J6, enter a formula to increase the date in cell J5 by 1 day. So we're going to go equals, click on J5 plus 1, and we get the next date, which is 5/13. Copy the formula in cell J6 to the range J6 to J112 to enter the dates for the growing season. So I'm going to use my fill handle here. I'm on cell J6 when I do this. I'm going to use my fill handle, which is the bottom right hand corner, that black plus sign. Hold down the left side of my mouse. Try that again. And drag down. And again, I'm going to go to row 116. Okay, there we go. Good job. All right. That was step number 17. Step 18. In cell B8, right there, enter M070. Okay, as the maturity group for the current soybean hybrid. Step 19. In cell B10, use the VLOOKUP function to retrieve the cumulative GDD value for the M070 hybrid. Hint, the range L12 to M21 displays the cumulative GDD for each maturity group. So if I scroll over here, here is what they're talking about. It should, when we're all said and done, retrieve 1930, because what we're going to tell it to do is to look at this value in cell B8. We're going to have it come over here and go down this list until it finds M070. That's the contents of cell B8. It's going to go, oh, I found it. Then we're going to tell it to retrieve the column that we want the result to be for. In other words, we're going to pick this second column because that's the number we want it to retrieve. This is considered column 1. This is considered column 2. All right, so let's put this all together. So first we want to go and find the VLOOKUP function. So I'm going to go and find VLOOKUP, which is going to be down toward the bottom. VLOOKUP. This is a fun one. I like teaching this one. VLOOKUP. Okay, lookup value. What are we telling it to look up? We're looking up the maturity value, which is in B8. So we simply click on B8. That's what we're telling it to look up. Table array. Now that's nobody likes the word array, but all they're simply saying here is what's the range of the table that has all this data? Well, it is over here. It is L12. Okay, let me move this out of the way. It's L12 down to M21. So we just select that range. That was the hint that they gave us in the instructions. It says in the instructions, hint, the range L12 to M21 displays the cumulative GDD for each maturity group. The column index number then, and I know this is a little confusing, people want to say, well, it's M. No, what they're looking for is in the table that you just put in the table array, which column? And they literally start with 1, 2. And all we have to put here is 2. We're telling it to retrieve the second column's stuff, if you will. The range lookup, if I click here, the range lookup says is a logical value to find the closest match in the first column if you put it as true or don't put anything, or find an exact match if you put the word false. We want to find an exact match, so we're going to put the word false. So we're looking up the value that's in B8. We're telling it to go over to this table that's in the range L12 to M21, go down until you find it, and then retrieve the second column, 1, 2. So it's going to retrieve this 1930. So I click OK, and indeed I get 1930. Now if you want to see how this works, watch what happens if I change this to M005. M005, now it retrieves 1679 because it's looking at that value, coming over to this table, found it right here, and retrieves the second column's data. So that's pretty neat because depending on what the person puts in B8 changes this altogether. So I'm going to go back and put in what they told me to put in earlier, and that's M070. All right, that's considered a VLOOKUP. All right, so that is step number 19. Step 20, in cell I5, I was wondering if we were going to put anything in I5. In cell I5, enter an if function. So we've got median today, we've gotten round, we've done VLOOKUP, and now an if function. In cell I5, enter an if function that tests whether the cumulative GD value in cell H5 is greater than the maturity value in cell B10. Well, let's get to that first. Let's get to that function first. So I'm going to go back to fx. I'm going to scroll down until I find the I for the if. There it is. Just if. There it is, if. Okay. Now, an if statement has 3 components to it. First, you're going to test something, and they're telling us what to put in there. They're saying, let's do one step at a time, tests, so that's what we're doing as a logical test, whether the cumulative GDD value in H5, so we can type H5 or click on it, H5 is greater than, so we want to use a greater than sign, which is open to the left, greater than sign of B10. So we type B10. Now they have already discovered, they've already put the answer over here that it is not, it's false. B5 is not greater than B10, but we're going to continue on. Now, once it does that test, we tell it what to do if it's true. What to do if it's true. Okay, so let's read the instructions. Is greater, so we're now on use an absolute reference to cell B10. Oh, so I have to go to B10 and I have to put in absolute. So remember, if I hit my F4 key, if I click between the B and the 10 and hit my F4 function key, that will put dollar signs in front of the B and in front of the 10, and that's what they wanted. Now I can go down to the true. And it says, if the condition is true, return the text string, quote, ready, quote. So I want quote, ready, quote. Okay. If the condition is otherwise, return the text not ready. So if it's false, I'm going to put quote, not, space, ready. Make sure you spell it correctly. Okay. I click OK. And for this one, I get not ready because if we look at the test again, H5 is greater than B10. H5 is 9.5. Is that greater than H5 is greater than B10. I'm sorry, B10 is 1930. No way. 9.5 is not greater than 1930. That's why I get the false part of it, which is not ready. They want me to copy this all the way down now, so I'm going to use my fill handle. Since I have the absolute in B10, that will never change. This will always remain the same. That's what I want. I do want H5 to go to H6, and then H7, and then H. You got the idea. So I'm going to drag this down using the fill handle to copy my formula down. And again, I'm going to go all the way to the bottom. And it finally goes to ready at 1934 because that is now greater than B10. So it is true now. So it does put the word ready. Pretty cool. That's an if statement. 3 more steps. In cell B11, we're going to do another VLOOKUP. So let's go to VLOOKUP. Sometimes if you have used it previously in a case problem, if you go to the drop-down arrow and go to most recently used, you will actually see the functions that we've used recently. So that saves a little bit of help of going out and trying to find it since we've already used it today. Click OK. The lookup value, it says, okay, in B11, insert a VLOOKUP function using the values in the columns I and J that returns the date on which the harvest ready value is equal to the text string ready. Okay, so for this one, we're going to do another VLOOKUP, and we're going to type in, for the lookup value, we're going to type in ready. Actually, I need quotes. So I'm going to type in quote, ready, quote. That's my lookup value because I want it to go down this column right here and find ready. The table array then is going to be I to J. That's what the instructions told me to do. I to J. Okay, that's basically my table, if you will. So it's going to come down here and look for ready. And when it sees it, I want it to return the second column. I want it to actually return the date of when it finally turns to ready so that I know it's time to harvest. Okay. Again, I'm going to put the word false because I want an exact match. I click OK, and it tells me that the date, that the estimated harvest date is 8/15/2017. Okay, so I planted on 5/12/2017. I'm going to harvest on 8/15/2017. All right, good job. 2 more steps. Step 22. In cell B12, calculate the number of days between planting and harvesting by subtracting the planting date from the harvest date. So that's going to be equals B11 minus B9. And I know I have 95 days from planting to harvest. Wow, that was a hard one, but I'm glad you stuck with it. And again, you can rewind it, and especially with the VLOOKUPs and the if function, you might want to keep watching that until finally you go, yes, I understand what he's doing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. Okay. And I'm going to close it. And at this point, I'm going to wrap up and say thank you for listening to this video. I hope you find this to be very, very helpful. Thank you and have a super day.